And he came back a few other times after he got to know some people, and people talked to him because he got to know them in other places. But I thought, wow, that's not good. It's not simply not good because that kind of hurts us if we want to grow, but there's a deeper reason it's not good. It's not Christ-like. It just isn't Christ-like. You know, I'm a member of a Benedictine order, and you don't have to know a lot about Benedictine stuff and Benedict, but one thing that's helpful to know is that Benedictine monasteries have this rule, and it is like etched in people's skin. It's like branded on them. It's a rule about guests. And it basically says this: when a guest shows up, you treat them just like they're Jesus Christ. When a guest shows up, you treat them just like they're Jesus Christ. Now that is a great vision, isn't that? Talk about a challenging place to be. You see, I want us to be in a place where we can have in our hearts the attitude that every guest that God brings to St. Pat's is brought by God. And every guest that comes to St. Pat's is a gift from God. And that when we come to St. Pat's to meet with Jesus, we don't just meet him in the Word. We don't just meet him at the table, although we'll meet him in those places. We'll meet him through prayer and through singing, and we'll meet him in one another. But I think God wants to take us to a place as a church where we learn that he also wants us to meet him through the guests he brings. By simply being attentive to them and welcoming them. And, you know, we can organize that. That's fine. But that's not what God wants to do, I don't think. I think God wants to change our culture and our hearts. So, but things don't change unless you're intentional about them. And you probably noticed for the last few Sundays, between the closing song and the sending, I've always said a couple sentences, or I said basically, the God we worship welcomes us in his presence. And one way we can show him gratitude is by just simply reaching out to someone we don't know or don't know well for the first 3 minutes after worship. That's a simple, simple thing. You know, if we'd all just do that, I think that would help us create a culture of welcome in our church. And it would reflect the character of God. I mean, there's all kinds of ways we do reflect the character of God. This is a blessed church, and I love being pastor. So anything I'm saying, don't hear me critiquing of a lot of stuff. And I'm critiquing myself as well. But it's a growing edge for us. It's a place for us to learn. And I think God wants to develop that. So I'm going to keep doing that every Sunday, probably long enough that after a while you'll all just be like, I'm sick of him saying that. But that's okay. I'm the pastor, so my job sometimes is to do things that people don't like. But I want to remind us of that. And let me just frame it this way before I move on. Right after I say that, someone in the back always says, let us go forth, either in the name of Christ or in the power of the Spirit. That's the sending. And we say, well, thanks be to God. And then we go forth. The minute we get done saying hallelujah, we're now going forth and we're being sent. And the word for sent in the New Testament is the same word for apostle. We're being apostled back into the world. And it starts the moment we get up from our pew. And so I think God wants to teach us as a church how to step out into the city and love the poor, love people who are different to us, love the lost who don't know Jesus. But I don't think we'll be able to do that well until we learn how to do it even right here when people come to us. So, I'm getting long on this, so let me move on to the next one. But pray, welcome, and the third is invite. Invite. It's not rocket science. But you know what? The way people usually join religious communities, it's been going on for centuries, is they come and they get exposed to a community, and some say, no, not where I should be, and some go, I think I'm going to join it. It's just the way it works. In fact, I bet for everyone in this room, except for me, because, you know, the guy playing the church, I was already a member when I started it. For everyone else, that's exactly the process you went through. Exactly. You said, either you got invited here or you heard about it and checked it out. And some of you said, well, everyone was here, I think, said, I want to be part of it. That's just how it works. And we don't worship a God who's only spiritual. We worship an incarnate God who works through practical, concrete things. And I know, just as a fact, that if we want want to see God bring more people into this community, we're going to have to see more people come and be guests. And one of the best ways for that to happen is for us to learn to invite people. Now I'm going to ask Trudy and Andy, can you help too? I have some cards. You know me, I like to have little cards and stuff. But what I want to do is I want to try to make this concrete and helpful for us as a community. And I've created what I call a pray and invite card. It doesn't look that great. I need like Gina to help me do a really good one, or Debbie sometime down the road. Maybe something really cool with like artsy stuff on it and a Celtic cross. But right now it's on my yellow cardstock. I'm sorry. It's the best I can do. On the front it says pray and invite. And it just has 2 verses from John. A great little vignette where Philip finds Nathanael. It says, we found Jesus. And of course, Nathanael says, well, whatever. And what does Philip say? Well, just come and see. What would it be like for us to be a people and learn how to say, come and see to our neighbors, our friends, co-workers, and family, and come among us and see Jesus? Simple acts of inviting. What I want to ask us to do is on the back side to begin to ask God, even now in the service, who are 3 people, God, you might want to use me to invite to St. Patrick's Church? Now, the reason I'm getting this concrete is I don't know any way for us to do something unless we map out the pathway at this concrete of level. So if you're thinking, hey, man, I got a master's degree. Don't tell me to be this simple. Just hang on. I need this stuff. I think we all do. But think through the names of 3 people that you know that God might want to bring as guests to St. Patrick's Church. So I'm not thinking of your relatives that live in California. I'm sure the Lord wants to reach them with the gospel, and you should be praying for them every day. If you're not,